player who can work all quadrants, who has a good feel for the changeup, and is just trying to work her way into a rhythm here in 2024. We saw another freshman, Mimi Gooden, get the start in game 1 for Florida State against South Dakota State. Made her way through that first run in the lineup quite nicely, only gave up a leadoff walk. And then that second trip through the order, the Jackrabbits started to figure some things out and made life difficult. In came Reed, and the rest was history. Now, the player that worked the leadoff walk and frankly had a pretty good day at the plate, and I say day as if it didn't just happen 30 minutes ago, was Mia Charecki, the everyday second baseman who has led off for the Jacks virtually every game in the last 2 years, number 10 in that blue and yellow. A walk in the first, a double in the third, then a couple of flyouts to center field for Jarecki. 1 for 3 in game 1 between Florida State and South Dakota State. And there's a good start for Danley and her fellow freshman Jason E. Beecham on the hot corner, retiring Jarecki at first.
Nice job from Danley, and just want to see her confidence in the circle.
Well, Jarecki's been retired. Akayla Barnard will now bat, followed up by Emma Osmondson, Lindsay Culver, who has 26 RBI to lead the team. The Carrillos, Rosalind and Jocelyn in the middle of the order. Brooke Dumont, Allie Boyle at first, and Cheyenne Masterson will round things out at the bottom of the order for the Jackrabbits. 1 to Akayla Barnard. Folks, believe it or not, in the 5th inning, South Dakota State led by 2. They were out hitting Florida State. And then everything changed. Led going into the bottom of the 5th, 5-3, and when all was said and done, the Noles would win it 11-5. One and 2 the count to Barnard. On the ground, Flaherty picks it with the back of the glove. What a smooth looking move for Devin Flaherty, who's seen plenty of hot shots up the middle and handled it well.
Senior making it look easy. Said a hot shot quick off the bat. Get the glove down, make the play.
A couple of strong plays by the FSU infield to get us going here in the top half of the first. That'll bring up Emma Osmondson. The senior from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Tremendous numbers, OPS north of 1,000, 3 home runs, 22 driven in. Batting average 16 points shy of 400. There's the drop ball. Danley, a player who can work that drop to both sides of the plate. Back to Flaherty. Back to first, and that's a 1-2-3 inning for the freshman. No problem for Danley. Good start for the Noles. Right before she was going to start game 1, kind of put a rush on things for Lacey, and so we'll see what she has in store here in game 2. Issued 4 walks out of the gates to Florida State in game 1, and FSU would go on to score 3 runs in that first inning off of Lacey.
Yeah, it was spur of the moment from Lacey, just had to be thrown out there in game 1. See how she comes out now in game 2. You know, as you said, Sean, especially coming in with a couple of walks.
And this is a Florida State lineup that looks a little bit different than it did in game 1, but my goodness, was it effective. Mudge, Beecham, Harding, Edenfield, Torres, Amaya Ross had the grand slam. And on the heavy hitters go. Wade Kaser, Flaherty, and then Danley, who will hit for herself in the 9th spot of the order. Autumn Belvi is going to play center field. She will not hit, though, for Florida State. 2-1 to Mudge, and that is looking like a gapper for Mudgey. Strong throw to second. She'll beat it, though. It's a leadoff double for the Noles.
It's so good to see Kaylee Mudge back healthy and at the top of the lineup for Florida State, because that is exactly what she does so well. It's the hands around, barrels it up, and puts it into the gap. And a double for Mudge.
5 consecutive games leading things off for Florida State for Kaylee Mudge. It's worth mentioning for those of you who are tuning in and wondering what happened to Janai Kerr. She is day-to-day with a knee injury. Florida State hopes to get her back soon as the freshman Beecham rolls that one to second and is retired at first. So no Kerr for now. There she is sitting in the Florida State dugout. Everybody optimistic that she'll be back, and for the moment she'll get to enjoy the wonderful weather that we're experiencing here in Tallahassee. I think I'm counting 2 clouds in the sky. So I'm not going to say not a cloud in the sky, because that's A, very cliche, and B, apparently inaccurate. Kaylee Harding will step into the plate. Okay, so maybe there's more than 2.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I was looking directly out.
For a second.
I was directly looking out the front of the booth, though. I wasn't looking beyond the decking and, in the left field.
It's fair.
Nice stop there by Dumont, who was so solid in the backstop in game 1. Some real tight situations, got on top of some balls. Florida State would do their own damage anyway, so it didn't really ultimately matter for much on the scoreboard, but it could have. She also threw out a couple of Florida State Seminoles, and they don't get thrown out on the bases all that often.
No, not too often, and I don't think Dumont even knew or expected she was going to start both games in a row, but to your point, made a couple of great plays from behind the plate. It's what's earned her the start again in game 2.
2-1, the count to Kaylee Harding, the senior from Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Has played all over the field in her Florida State career. And lifts this one into foul territory. It'll evade the gloves as they came crashing in there.
Ultimate utility player is Kaylee Harding.
Harding has done just about everything but pitch and play second base. She was recruited as a catcher, and she's played all over the outfield. She's played on the left side of the infield. She's played at first. So, yeah, that leaves 3 things. Second, pitch, and I don't think she's actually caught yet.
Who was recruited as a catcher. How about this, Sean? She's only one of 3 active players in the NCAA to have played 6 or more positions in her career.
And she's played all of them quite well. Today, though, she is the DP for Florida State, so the bat her sole responsibility for the moment. And this is a good battle, a veteran AB at that for Kaylee Harding as she continues to work away here against Lacey.
And Lacey's just got to feel better, too, after that game 1 start. Walking 4 to get it going, and trouble with a runner on third. But
a couple of veterans battling away here. And Lacey won't get the call. That's ball 4. Harding works the walk. And that'll bring up Michaela Edenfield.
Good job from Harding to lay off of that pitch. Lacey just missing the zone, a little high above the belt buckle, and runners on the corners.
1 out on the board. Jason E. Beecham rolled 1 to second. A double for Mudge and a walk for Kaylee Harding. Lacey coming right after Edenfield here.
Yeah, and you like to see that from Lacey. First pitch attacking Edenfield. Didn't see that a lot in game 1. Going after the powerful catcher.
As a matter of fact, the first 3 times Edenfield came to the plate, in the first, the third, and the fifth in game 1, she saw 1 strike. One and 1 to Michaela. hot to second. Force at second. And a double play at first. She comes after the catcher, and it pays off for Lacey. Nothing here at Joanne Graff Field at the Seminole Softball Complex. We're scoreless through one. And Lindsay Culver will lead things off here for the Jackrabbits in the second. And speaking of the beautiful weather that we've enjoyed here the last really couple of days, Jack, when South Dakota State came into town, they actually went down to Carabel, which is, I would say, 20, 30 or so miles south of Tallahassee, down on the Gulf of Mexico. The head coach of the Jackrabbits, Christina McSweeney, said, we did it for two reasons. One, I wanted to get these South Dakota girls to the beach. We don't get to do that often up there, I guess.
Yep.
And then two, it was also Culver's birthday. So it was kind of an impromptu birthday party, but also at the same time, a chance to just do something fun in general. What a play up the middle by Torres. That's fun too.
Listen, the freshman's made a couple of these plays already in the early season, replacing Josie Muffley, ranging over in the infield, getting down low, scoops it up, makes the throw. Nice play from the freshman.
Everybody on the infield has gotten in on the act for Florida State. Jarecki grounded out to third, Barnard and Osmondson to second, now Culver to short. Strike one to Rosalind Carrillo. Danley staying away there. It goes 1-1 to Rosalind. Rosalind with an RBI double in the fifth. Pushed across a then go-ahead run for South Dakota State over Florida State until the Noles put an 8 spot up in the 229, the batting average for Rosalind. This one peeling foul, it'll get out of play.
Saw her made a couple of good plays in the infield in game one too, and he really is the captain of that infield, is Rosalind.
Oh, what a pitch.
Ashton Danley. That is what she does oh so well. Off speed, look at the spin on that. Absolutely freezes Carrillo. And Sean, so far through a couple of batters for the freshman, she's been looking really good. I mean, the key for her is just to attack that strike zone. You know, free passes have kind of been a nemesis for her, and her young career hasn't had any walks yet today, but she's being aggressive. See, coming back with some heat there, and then mixes it up with the off-speed and change up. That's why she was such a highly touted recruit.
When she's been good, she's been really good. In fact, closed out Florida State's biggest win to this point this season over Stanford. Got a great start out of Allison Royalty, and then Danley slammed the door shut. There's another changeup. That's strike two.
And that's so hard for a hitter when you lead off with the fast pitch and then come right back with the changeup. First Carrillo both times.
Jocelyn Carrillo, as her sister Rosalind was, from Palmdale, California. Batting average a touch north of 200. Pulled that one foul. Danley, a tremendous two-way player in her home state of Tennessee. Just absurd numbers in the circle and at the plate as she wrapped up her high school career. Part of a highly touted freshman class. Oh, and she just spotted that on the outside part of the plate. Torres is .359, a combined 8 home runs, 27% of the team's hits, 26% of Florida State's home runs. Each of them have started in every game, and just to round things out and put what game one was into perspective, Beecham, a couple of singles, also a walk. She was 2 for 3 with 2 RBI. Torres herself, 2 singles. She was 2 for 4 with 2 more driven in.
As a head coach, to see that impact from your freshmen, you have to be through the roof with what they've been able to do this season. I think the biggest thing for both of them, too, Sean, is you watch them play, they don't even seem like freshmen.
Now for Isa Torres, for her part, softball has been a massive part of her family for some time. Her dad has been a high-level club coach for a number of years. Her sister, in fact, is a middle infielder at McNeese State, also previously played at Texas A&M. Mariana, part of the Cowgirls roster that went into Washington and, frankly, should have beaten them in the postseason last year in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, so she's heard and lived part of that college life through her siblings, and she's ready for this year and the ups and downs that it will bring as freshmen. Of course, you've seen both sides of it. But through the first 21 games now for Torres and Beecham alike, I mean, you'd be nothing but pleased if you're Coach Alameda.
And we saw her looking on. In fact, she described it as veteran-level familiarity within the body of this freshman in particular in Isa Torres. Obviously, she hadn't directly suited up and competed at the D1 level, but she knew what it looked like to compete at a high level and had some direct-ish experience through her family lineage.
And she's performing like she's done it before, too.
Working the count full here to kick things off in the bottom of the second. And that's a good start. Torres works the full count walk, and up steps Amaya Ross. Ball one down to Ross. Junior from Jacksonville, Florida, who's making the most of her opportunity to be an everyday starter for the Noles in this, her junior season, now batting north of 400. Drove in 4 more runs with 1 swing of the bat in the 5th inning. In game 1 between these two teams. Also was hit by a pitch. Reached on a fielder's choice in the 1st inning of that game. Inside strike makes it 2-1. The freshman Torres waiting at first. Hold it back. Ross, who has rich family lineage here at Florida State. Her dad, Gerard, was on the FSU football team. Went on to play in the NFL. Had a couple of cousins who also played football here. Had another cousin, J.C. Flowers, who played on the baseball team relatively recently. Is now in the Pirates system. Check swing there for Amaya. In fact, J.C. Flowers was the closer for Mike Martin's final Omaha run back in 2019. That one's up. Consecutive walks to start. We're being told that there is going to be a review.
Sure if that's on the pitch or if maybe Torres had left early, but she took off on that pitch. Not sure what else they would be looking at. Definitely upstairs. It has to be Torres leaving first. Seemed like she left before the pitch was released by Lacey.
Everybody's safe. I'll admit, folks, I was looking down at a stat sheet whenever they made the call that they were going to the monitor.
Torres ready to go. It's good to me.
So consecutive walks for Florida State here in the second. And that one is low and outside to Hallie Waycaser. We do have official confirmation, as you suspected, Jack, that they were reviewing to see if Torres left early. She did not, and that is just foul. One and one to Waycaser. Comes into this one with a .327 batting average and a .673 slugging percentage. Sneaky pop for Hallie Waycaser. And if I were to tell you, Jack, that she actually has a higher slugging percentage than Kaylee Harding, your thoughts would be what?
I don't know if I would believe you.
She does. Just quietly plodding away, dropping extra base hits for the Noles.
A great opportunity for Waycaser with 2 on. No outs.
Two. Down and in. And this was something of the story in the first inning of game 1 for Shannon Lacey, who walked the first 4 Seminoles she saw. Alexa Williams came in to relieve her, and Florida State would end up scoring 3. Line drive, snared and centered. Carrillo gets it into the infield in a hurry. Runners hold. Torres still at second.
Nice from Torres to get back in time. That ball was hit with some speed right into center field. 1 out for the Noles.
Now here's Devin Flaherty. Batted 9th in the first game, will bat 8th in this one. Took ball 1. Flaherty, the senior from Sarasota, not off to the hottest start this year. Batting average currently at .250. It's up a bit from where it began last weekend, below 200. Several hits in her final few games down in FGCU at the tournament they hosted down there in Fort Myers. But this is a player that, even if the numbers aren't sky high right now, history has proven, don't worry about Devin. She has finished top 3 on the team in batting average every year as a Seminole. In fact, she led Florida State in hits in 2 prior seasons.
She knows it more than anyone. The experience that she has. It's not about how you're starting at the beginning of the season, just how hot and how well you are playing come the end of the season.
Here's the trend for Flaherty. 5 hits in the last 7 games after 6 in the first 14. And that walk will be enough for Devin. 8 runs scored also in those last handful of games compared to 7 in the ones prior. So definitely trending upwards. And speaking of trending, Christina McSweeney making a trip out to the circle has been a bit of a trend here today. Unfortunately for her, the reigning Summit League Conference Coach of the Year from a season ago, trying to crack the code here against Florida State. Nothing on the scoreboard yet, but a whole lot of pressure by the Noles here in the second.
Yeah, and I know the start was sprung upon Lacey in the first game, but let's take a look at Christina McSweeney. But that's kind of one thing that she has struggled with this season. She was a Summit League honorable mention a year ago, pitched really well, but this year those free passes, walks have been causing her some trouble. Now with the bases loaded up,
3 more walks issued here in this second inning. Florida State's loaded them up all via the walk. Waycaser lining out to center field in the middle of them. So that leads us to this. Torres at third, Ross at second, Flaherty on at first. And the freshman pitcher, Danley, looking to do some damage against her pitcher counterpart. Bottom of the order for Florida State, and Danley jumps on the first offering and lines it into the deck.
Oh, I thought they got it.
Always need your head on a swivel, sitting up in the deck.
1 1/3 for Shannon Lacey, who also walked 4 people in the first game, so 8 combined. Just really a couple of innings. Slow roller here to short. Play is to first, and Florida State will score Torres.
And that's smart there, too, from Carrillo coming in the shortstop position. Yells from the dugout saying, go home, but peeks her head up and chooses to go over to first and get it out instead of forcing it home. And Kristen not getting the job done.
That'll go down as a quality plate appearance for Danley. Florida State jumps on the board first. Kaylee Mudge will step in, albeit now with 2 outs. Both runners in scoring position, though, and Ross and Devin Flaherty. FSU jumped down to a 3-0 lead in game 1 in the first. Mudge led off this game with a double. That's a good pitch by Lacey.
Really good pitch from Lacey. And she is a strikeout pitcher. She's had multiple games. We mentioned it before, 14 strikeouts at Kennesaw State. And then as you go back, she's had a couple of double-digit strikeout performances in her career.
That time too far outside to spot the corner for Lacey, and that was really the story. Kanishi with a no-hitter, the 8th of her career against Kennesaw State, then the 14 additional strikeouts by Shannon Lacey. An impromptu doubleheader that they scheduled. Ended up winning both. This one golfed into foul territory and onto the deck. Lacey trying to limit the damage. 1-2 to Mudge. There's that double I reference. Batting average now squarely at 300.
Well, the fact that they didn't finish it is kind of sad.
Yeah. Once again, too far outside.
Why do they have a carrot in the dugout?
Because they're jackrabbits and they like to eat carrots.
Okay, thank you.
I know, I have
That totally went over my head. Okay, let's not do that anymore. I know.
And the count goes full to a player that has been a mainstay on all ACC teams, on a couple of Women's College World Series all-tournament teams. Has done virtually just about everything there is to do here in her time in Tallahassee. She's looking to score another run or 2. Or she'll walk. That'll do just well.
Saw Kaylee Mudge doing Kaylee Mudge things, her first AB of this game with the double, and again, working her way back in that count. Get the walk.
6 of Florida State's 10 batters to this point have made their way aboard. Mudge with a double, everybody else has walked, including Mudge herself. Strike 1 to Jason Beecham. Nowhere to put the freshman. Beecham has recorded a hit in 19 of now 21 games, been on base in 20 of them. She's on now a 13-game on-base streak.
Oh, great cut, great cut.
put the freshman with the bases full of Seminoles. Ross at third, Flaherty at second, Mudge stationed at first. Ground ball, covered up at short, no play though. Another run will score. You got to credit Carrillo for getting on top of that ball and limiting the damage, but there just wasn't enough time for her to get to her feet and get a force anywhere else.
She's been making those type of plays all game. Absolutely credit where it's due. Full extension, keep it in the infield. Could have potentially been another run for Florida State, keeps the bases loaded.
And FSU passes their bat to Kaylee Harding, the 8th Seminole to come to the plate here in this second inning. Harding walked on a full count an inning ago. And lifted that one out to right. Playable out there for Osmondson, and that'll put in. Nothing to be confused about there. Ashton Danley's off to a great start. Retired every batter she's faced. She's actually struck out a couple. 6 up, 6 down for the freshman. This changeup, dare I say to this point, Jack, has been downright devastating.
It really has. It's causing South Dakota State hitters a lot of trouble. She's been mixing it up so well. Really haven't been able to determine what's coming.
Brooke Dumont, the catcher, leading things off here. The Jackrabbits, of course, going 7, 8, 9. It'll be Dumont, followed up by Allie Boyle, the first baseman. Then Cheyenne Masterson will round things out at the bottom of the order, the third baseman. One and one to the catcher. Ooh. That one had some heat on it.
Piece of that.
Consecutive strikeouts to put an end to the second for Danley. Won't get one there. Started the game by feeding everybody on the infield. Ground outs to third, 2 to second, 1 to short, then the 2 strikeouts both looking that I referenced to put an end to the second. It's been the story for Danley to this point as Dumont from Nebraska steps in, batting average 250. Call on the change, it runs full.
See if that's where she goes again. Job from Dumont working in this count. Getting that changeup on these pitches. That's getting her strikeouts today.
First strikeout swinging for Ashton Danley. That's 3 in a row for the freshman. 2 to end the second, 1 to kick things off in the top of the third.
Yeah, she's really feeling it. We're saying doesn't matter the pitch, working back and forth between a little bit of heat and the off speeds. Keeping the Jackrabbits fooled right now.
Bouncer to second, Flaherty to first in time, 2 up, 2 down. That'll bring up Cheyenne Masterson. Great work to this point for Danley. First trip through the South Dakota State order. Has not allowed a single base runner to this point. Has struck out 3. The other 5 have grounded out. Off speed, ball 1.
That'll be the biggest question come the next inning, Sean. That's where the Jackrabbits had that success. Last game after a time through against Mimi Gooden, started to kind of figure her out. It's led to a 3-spot inning for them.
Ball and a strike to the third baseman.
Family's got all the control in the circle right now.
Masterson, a player who doesn't have tremendous numbers this year, but has really manned the hot corner well over the balance of her career. So valuable defensively, the senior from Hartford, South Dakota. As she sends a hot shot to the hot corner for Florida State, and the freshman handles the heat.
It's the pub sub toss. It's the pub sub toss.
You got it.
It's not a pub sub.
It wasn't. But that is a well-hit ball into left field for Edenfield. So Michaela Edenfield, who has walked a literal ton of times today, records a hit here in game 2.
You haven't seen that all day. Edenfield attacking the first pitch, gets it thrown to her liking off the end of the bat. Just out of the reach of Masterson at third.
FSU has gotten the lead off aboard in every inning to this point. Torres swung on the first offering and pops out to short.
Right there, back-to-back pitches, back-to-back batters going after the first pitch. Both like to be aggressive. See if Lacey gives Amaya Ross something she can hit.
Strike one to Amaya Ross. Ross walked on a full count to get things really going in the second. It was Torres who walked, then Ross who walked. A line out by Waycaser, who's in the on-deck circle.
Annihilated that ball.
It played not one, not two, not three, but four, in fact, a grand slam for Amaya. Really just busted the game wide open for Florida State. They trailed by 2 in that inning and then put up an 8 spot. That'll work. 1-2 though, the count to Amaya here. Got a hold of that one. Left field, this time it'll play 2.
Well, last time she hit a grand slam, you were talking about the hitting and how she has gotten better this season. You do the same thing again now, Sean. Maybe Amaya Ross is listening to you.
I think Amaya Ross might be petitioning to put me back in the booth a little bit more often.
How about Ross? Right over the plate, down, hands all extended. Almost the same spot as she did last time. Maybe just a little bit farther.
She'll hear her second curtain call today. She's driven in 6 through her 2 home runs. She's very quiet by nature, and I think that wave to the crowd kind of shows the personality. Reserved, humble, quiet, but there is nothing quiet about her bat right now, Jack.
No, and you love her story, and she's quietly a great teammate. And I loved one thing that Lonnie Alameda said earlier in the season, just talking about sports fans and following players as they see grow. And she said, Amaya Ross, if any sports fan talks about the player they like to see grow, she would be the one they would talk about.
That one down in the dirt to Hallie Waycaser, 2-1. Waycaser calls her number off the top of the wall. Maybe a foot or so shy of going out herself. It's a double nonetheless for Waycaser.
That got to the wall in a hurry. Big swing from Wei Kaser. We'll get another look off the end of the bat. Straight into left center. See how fast that gets to the wall. And a hard bounce off the wall. She had to hustle into second. Able to make it in safely.
We've got a pitching change here in Tallahassee, as Shannon Lacey has been relieved of her duties by Haley Herman, the freshman, who came in late in game one and frankly, Jack, did some pretty good things.
She did, yeah. All things considered, what the Noles were doing towards the end of that game. Did a good job in relief for the Jackrabbits. End of the day for Shannon Lacey, as you can see. 2 1/3 innings. Walks were really the killer for Lacey. But again, sprung into a start in game one, really just changed the outlook of her day.
There'll be better days ahead for Shannon for sure, as she makes her way back to the dugout and the freshman steps in to work against Devin Flaherty. And I mentioned the freshman Haley Herman. She hails from Kansas City, Missouri, making her second appearance now of the day, both times in relief. Flaherty to short, plays to first. That'll take care of Devin. It'll also hold Wei Kaser at second. And I'll say this too, Jack. You know, South Dakota State, I'll come back to it. We'll take a look at Herman's numbers, and they're solid. 1.11 the ERA through 6 1/3. 5 walks to 4 strikeouts. This now her 5th appearance on the year, just really getting her feet wet.
And a freshman, right? And that's not seeing as much freshmen across South Dakota State roster.
Danley. Oh, what a play! Come on!
How about that?
Back here in Tallahassee, South Dakota State taking on the 18th ranked Seminoles of Florida State. The head coach of the Jackrabbits in year 2 is Christina McSweeney. And Coach, thank you for spending some time here with us this afternoon. Hey, first game of this doubleheader, you traded body blows with Florida State, and I know the Seminoles have gotten out to an early lead here, but how do you characterize the fight you've seen out of your squad to this point today?
That's why I love my team. They just don't ever give up. They're going to give you everything they got, and we're going to give you what for, and somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose, but we're going to do everything we can to give it our fight.
Yeah, and hey, Coach, I know Tori Kanishi was slated to start game 1 today. Just wanted to check in on her and see how she's doing.
She's doing okay. She's doing okay. We expect her to be just fine.
All right, well, that's great news. That's the best news we've heard all day. We wish you all the best the rest of the way.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Again, that's Christina McSweeney, the head coach of the South Dakota State Jackrabbits, who won the Summit League regular season title a season ago, not to be in the Summit League tournament, but tremendous year. They went 39-19. She was named in year 1 the Summit League Coach of the Year, and they have tested themselves early and often. They, in fact, have a strength of schedule that ranks right up around the top 25 in the country. And for their efforts, hey, they came away with a win in Fayetteville over Arkansas. Darn near came away with 2, and they put a scare in Florida State in game 1.
Oh, yeah, they certainly have the pieces to do so, especially when they have their ace, Kanishi, in the circle. But that's also another thing, too, Sean. It is a great opportunity for some of these young pitchers like Herman, who we just saw, to come out, get some more appearances. But really, with Kanishi, this team can do a lot of damage because she is throwing so many innings for the Jackrabbits.
It'll be interesting to see here as they start their second trip through the order if they can figure out what adjustments to make off Ashton Danley. And wow, Danley is really feeling it. She starts off that second trip through the order, and she starts off this top part of the 4th with yet another strikeout.
She is all over the zone right now. You see, just locked in and keeping batters guessing.
Kayla Barnard will step in. And she'll swing on first pitch. That'll get out of play. really nice numbers for Akela, who also in game 1 this afternoon put the bat on the ball pretty good. 1 for 3. An RBI double for her in that one. 0 for 1 to this point in this game, though. Jackrabbits still looking for their first base runner, in fact. She grounded out to Devin Flaherty for the second out of the ball game. And there you have it. Barnard breaks the streak, and the Jackrabbits have their first hit.
Right around where it started last time for South Dakota State. Really nice from Barnard. Get on the end, drive this thing into left field for a single.
That'll bring up Emma Osmondson. Strike 1. .379 the batting average. He's driven in 22 runs. Her productivity has been a big boon for the Jackrabbits this season and throughout the course of her career. She's a South Dakota girl, hails from Sioux Falls, and has now recorded a hit in 22 of 28 games this season. Line drive, Torres back to first, and that'll do it. Well, midway through the 4th here at the Seminole Softball Complex, game 2 of this doubleheader. Florida State leads it by 4. And the head coach of the Seminoles, Lonnie Alameda, joining us for the first time this season. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time. You know, we've talked leading into the season and frequently about Amaya Ross and her patience and her commitment and everything she's done to afford and earn the opportunity she's had. 2 home runs today. How pleased are you with everything she's done and how it's paid off?
I mean, anyone out there that knows Amaya Ross or the family, I see Gerard sitting right up there, like, pretty excited. She's a worker, and I think a great teammate, and you just, you know, you're really happy for all the work she's put in over the years, you know, not just this year, it's over the years. And she's such a great person. You know, you just get happy for the great people to have moments, and she's been awesome for us.
Coach, another good performance today. Your freshman in the circle, Ashton Danley. What have you liked what you've seen from her thus far?
Yeah, you know, I think our freshmen have been challenged a little bit, and the circle's been challenged a little bit, and we've been talking about it, and we just got to keep growing. And I like the determination. She's got good connection going on with Michaela right now, which I think is a huge part of it, right? Like, those catchers are so gritty behind the dish, and when you can get connection like that, you can bring each other in, and I can see that working with the 2 of them right now. So flipping the changeup, throwing hard, you know, it's just nice to see that she's calm, cool, and collected out there right now.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for taking the time. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to chat with Lonnie Alameda, one of the sharpest and kindest minds in softball. There is no reason, or excuse me, there is no question, I should say, as to how or why she has built the culture and the program that she has. And I think we also have to give credit to Dr. Joanne Graff, who laid the foundation and set out the blueprint, and she took the torch, and she has ran a marathon with it.
Yeah, a marathon to say the least.
Her Noles lead by 4. Kaylee Mudge will lead things off here at the top of the order. A double and a walk today for Kaylee. Florida State kicking off their 3rd trip through the order as we start the bottom half of the 4th inning. There have been the scariest part too to that, Luke, is that they've left some runners on base. They've scored 4 runs and they've lapped through the lineup 3 times. Oh, she waited on the changeup there, and that's a nice play charging in by Culver. Good piece of hitting, though, by Mudge, letting that ball travel and taking it the other way. Just a heads-up play by Culver and left.
Yeah, to your point, too, there's been a lot of great defensive plays from the Jackrabbits that have stranded some base runners and also gotten them out of some innings.
I've been particularly impressed with South Dakota State and how well and how cleanly they have played defense for the most part here today, Jack. You know, you get these schools from well up north, and when you're talking the run up to regular season, December, January, early parts February, you got snow on the ground. It's less than ideal conditions to really be working on the fundamentals. The Jackrabbits have been largely sound and frankly impressive for the most part today.
Oh yeah, and especially when you look across this roster, you see the experience in juniors and seniors. They've been through it, they've done it, and you're seeing it in front of your eyes today in both of these two games. But certainly, head coach Christina McSweeney, that's something she told us, happy with how they've been defensively.
As a matter of fact, when you take a look up and down the lineup for South Dakota State, almost entirely upperclassmen, save for Barnard, the sole freshman in the order. Speaking of freshmen, Florida State's got Jason Beecham back up at the plate. 1 for 2 today for Jason. 486 the batting average. Woo. Bobble it short, and Beecham is safe.
Maybe just a little bit of an announcer jinx right there as we're talking about the defense. Still a good job from Carrillo to keep the ball in front. That ball hit with some pace and takes a awkward hop. Beecham able to reach safely.
First error of the day for South Dakota State. That allows Florida State to enjoy a one-out base runner in their freshman. And now here's Kaylee Harding. To third. Force at second. They'll turn for the double at first and won't get it. So lead runner Beecham is retired. No double play at first. Fielder's choice for Harding.
An easy work for Masterson at third base to throw over, but a good job to run that out and beat the throw. No double play.
So effectively you replace Beecham with Harding. And we're heading back to the monitor here. Momentarily, it'll be Michaela Edenfield set to step in.
So it felt,
the call on the field was that South Dakota State got the force at second, didn't get the double play at first.
the first throw at first felt like that was in tie, and maybe something to do at second, stepping on the bag, I'm not sure.
We will be checking our replays. And they pointed to second and confirmed that the runner at second was out, so I would have to imagine you're right on that. That it was a question as to whether or not the defender stepped on the bag to actually apply the force at second to get that lead out.
Here is that look. It is close. Able to get on the back.
Back to Masterson at third, and she'll take care of the catcher at first. Florida State leads by 4, 3-4. Heart of the order runs. Only one hit for the Jacks. Stanley, 4 innings of work, a career-high 4 strikeouts. She's gone as many as 5 1/3 against Jacksonville earlier this season. And Amaya Ross, 1 for 1, a walk and a 2-run home run. Solid day at the office for Ross. Here's Lindsay Culver, the cleanup batter for South Dakota State. She'll lead things off. They'll go 4, 5, 6. Her and the Carrillo sisters will kick things off here in the top half of the fifth. Danley, who's done such a good job of working ahead, actually fallen behind Culver here.
Well, I want to go back to one thing Coach just said when we were chatting with her, Sean, just talking about the connection between Ashton and Michaela Edenfield behind the plate, with Coach Lonnie Alameda wanting this pitch by committee and really big for that. Obviously, Ashton Danley being a freshman, you're slowly growing with your relationship you have with your catcher behind the plate, and they've been working really well together today.
Yeah, indeed they have. And in fact, preseason I had a chance to speak with Michaela Edenfield, and she said, look, it's tricky. As we take a look at Danley, retiring 11 of 12 batters faced, a career-high 4 strikeouts, solid day for her, to say the absolute least, as she hears the K-time chants once again. That one will roll its way across the plate. Full count here, tone setter, if you will. Will Culver make her way aboard, or will Danley work out of the full count and find a way to retire her? That one fouled away. Going back to Edenfield, if I may, Jack, she mentioned that, you know, it's tricky. There's a lot of younger pitchers here. She's still getting to know them. Then there's other pitchers who have been around a while but haven't pitched as much, who are adjusting to new roles, folks learning new pitches. And so just getting a command of some of the new faces, the new weapons, the new pitches, it's been tricky. And it's really put a lot on Edenfield as a leader to kind of get a handle on all that. She's largely done a good job.
Oh, absolutely. And there's, of course, the questions coming into this year through the first 20 games with the ERA of this pitching staff. But again, to your point, Sean, those are what's going to get worked out over time with experience. The more innings that you spend together, the more you're going to see that develop. And you've seen it today, too.
Yeah, it's the ebbs and flows of the pitcher-catcher relationship, you know. Sometimes you have a pitcher and a catcher who progress at the same time, and then sometimes you have an older pitcher with a younger catcher like Sandercock and Edenfield, and now it's Edenfield, the veteran, with a lot of younger pitchers.
That's one thing, too, is losing a pitcher like Catherine Sandercock, who takes up so much, a big percentage of your innings as a team.
This one elevated to left field. Belvi tracking and securing.
Sean, I think that's been the biggest thing today with Danley, is if you look at her through her young career so far, walks were sometimes a problem. Over her last 3 appearances coming in today, she only had 2 walks. None today. You just have seen the control she has over the strike zone, and it's paying off for the freshman.
What appears to be another step forward in the growth and the progression of Ashton Danley. Ground ball here, pulled foul.
Good call, Michaela.
Deeper and deeper into games.
That's the other thing, too. Just going back to Edenfield, you also have to figure out what buttons to press.
Exactly.
Who communicates how. They're certainly on the same page here today. Ground ball, pulled foul. Hop to the left of the line. Beecham was ready to throw her out at first if necessary. Won't be, it's 1-2. Rosalind Carrillo, who has made a handful of really nice plays up the middle today for South Dakota State, trying to inject a little lightning bolt here. Well, Beecham's got another opportunity. This time it stays fair, and the freshman was ready for her moment. She retires the shortstop at first. Jocelyn Carrillo, who also has made a nice play today, a diving play out in center field for South Dakota State to put an end to an inning. Strikeout for Jocelyn. In fact, each of the Carrillo sisters were retired via the strikeout to put an end to the second inning. As part of a stretch of 3 consecutive strikeouts, those 2 to end the second, and then Dumont struck out to lead things off in the third. Still just the 1 base runner for South Dakota State. That came via a 1-out single by Barnard in the 4th. She was promptly erased when Osmondson lined into a double play right behind her. Change up, missed the zone.
That's been the one for her all day, though. Just getting that corner of the zone outside the righties.
2-1.
Haven't seen Danley in this spot much today.
Fouled away, 2-2. Looking for strikeout number 5. And now the count runs full to Carrillo. That one fouled off. Carrillo on the All-Summit League first team a season ago. Was on the All-Summit League second team a season prior. Also on the All-Tournament team back in 2022. Cracked the All-Summit League first team in 2021 as well. So a staple on the All-Conference team. That down the line and just foul. Beecham got the throw over to first. Didn't need to apparently.
Similar to the last 2 ABs. Tight rope in the line, just crosses over.
Another one fouled away. Good battle here by Carrillo, who actually last year, when South Dakota State went 17-0 in conference play, she had the best batting average in the Summit League. Hit .423 in those 17 games. 2 home runs, a handful of doubles, drove in 15 runs. She actually finished top 30 in the NCAA in doubles. She had 16 on the year. 9th pitch of this AB. And this flare dives into the glove of Devin Flaherty. Danley wins the battle and puts an end to. Yeah, they have cradled the carrot. They have made the carrot dance. They have done all sorts of things with the carrot. We are very interested as we look in on the action here at Joanne Graff Field in Tallahassee, Florida. Sean Davis and Jack Cavavit, our entire ACC NX crew. You're thinking of something.
They got to get the carrot on a bat. You know what I mean? Not an action, not use the carrot to swing, but its face as the bat. Carrot bat, maybe.
Okay. Torres up the middle. And no play will be made at second. Mia Jarecki wasn't able to corral that one. It'll be scored as a single up the middle for Torres.
A tough hit, ground ball from the freshman, and you see the little awkward hop right there on that second bounce. Just hard to judge for Jarecki.
So with that, Issa Torres with hits in 18 of 22 games this season. Yeah, that's worth a high five or two.
Just a couple.
Just a couple as she makes her way back into the dugout and will be pinch run for here this afternoon. missed the announcement. I'm guessing that's going to be Annie Potter pinch running for her. Yep, I see the 22. Those two battling for the shortstop position. Potter a little bit more defensive, not to really, you know, sneeze at Torres. She's been rock solid up the middle, but Potter was a real tremendous defensive shortstop at Mercer. Just that wasn't quite as hot as Torres, so a little different look, and she's got a lot of speed on the base paths. There you see Potter stationed at first. Here's Amaya Ross. So Florida State, after, for the first time in this game, not getting the leadoff runner aboard an inning ago, gets right back to it. Oh, off-speed pitch. And now a look at Dumont. My goodness. That is a third Seminole that Dumont has thrown out here in a game in a little bit more than a half.
3 for 3 for Dumont. You're talking about one of the best base stealing teams in the country in Florida State. This is the reason right here. Dumont is starting game 2 again. Every single throw, look at that, right in the spot you need it, leading Carrillo right into the base, able to make the tag. Beautifully done.
Have yourself a day in the backstop. You mentioned it. No easy task catching Florida State on the base paths, and Dumont has done as good a job as anybody I've seen in quite some time. Full count, meanwhile, to Ross. And so Amaya will work the walk. She has been on base kind of, sort of every time today. I mean, she touched every one of them when she made her way around the bags. Feels like on the home run. So I guess technically that counts as being on base, even though she wasn't on them for long.
Count it.
We'll count it. 2 walks as well for Ross.
With the day she's having, Herman probably doesn't feel too bad that she'll make her way to first, but
Waycaser sharply hit. South Dakota State gets the force at second and the double play at first. Nothing allowed, 4 strikeouts, frankly only 1 base runner allowed to this point via a 1-out single a couple of innings ago. She's approaching her career high in innings of work. That was 5 1/3 against Jacksonville, so needs 1 out to equal that. She's already set a new season and career high in strikeouts with 4.
to see that from your freshman pitcher after the last 2 games to come out today. This is a Jackrabbit squad that was hitting well earlier. She silenced them in game 2. Just complete command right now in the circle from Danley. You see her working all 4 quadrants, going fast, going change up, working every single pitch in that she's got.
Bottom of the order here for the Jackrabbits. It'll be Dumont, the catcher, leading things off. And we have seen this now a bit here as this start has gone along for Danley. She was so good early on about working ahead. Now falling behind a little bit. It hasn't really mattered much. She's found ways to get the outs. But we're seeing this a little bit more often where she's fallen behind batters. Two and two.
Even majority of the hits today, Sean, for South Dakota State kept on the ground and in the infield.
Dumont herself, the catcher on the Summit League All-Tournament team from a season ago. Played in 47 games, started 44 of them last year. That one's well above the zone. Still today, Dumont looking for her first trip on base. And she just earned it.
Just said Sean, who's been seeing it a little bit more over the last couple of innings from Danley, filling those counts up just a little bit more. Good job from Dumont, though, to hold off on that swing. You see it just held it back a little low from Danley.
Lonnie Alameda has made her way to the circle. Allison Royalty is waiting in the wings. We'll let them make their change and tip the cap to Danley. We'll be right back. Back here in Tallahassee, Danley made her way back to the dugout, but only to get a different glove. She's going to go play some outfield. A tremendous start for the freshman. 5 innings of work, just the 1 hit, and then finally that 1 walk to kick things off here in the 6th allowed, compared to 4 strikeouts on 74 pitches. Largely efficient early, fell behind a little bit more late, and Lonnie Alameda has decided to go to the bullpen and bring in Allison Royalty. So here's Royalty, the senior from Corinth, Texas, who started her Division I career at Arizona State, made her way here to Tallahassee a season ago. Here's the numbers for her so far this year. 12 appearances, 6-3 record, ERA just a touch above 2, 37 1/3 innings of work, 13 walks to 30 strikeouts for Allison.
Yeah, a couple of good appearances this season for Royalty. Starting to come on strong as of late, but for Royalty, it's really that screwball and rise ball. She's got that rise ball jump in and the screwballs leaving the zone, then can mix in a changeup as well. That's when she's at her best.
She squares off with Allie Boyle. Also worth mentioning that Kaylee Kardash in at first to pinch run for the catcher, Dumont. There's Kaylee. Boyle, the junior from Earlham, Iowa. "38 games played a season ago, 34 starts, all at first base for the Jackrabbits. One of a few different players to check in at first this year. Royalty had her first career 7-inning complete game against Western Michigan this past weekend. 5 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk to 7 strikeouts, 107 total pitches thrown. That one there, ball 2 outside.
Just all around great performance from Royalty. She had the 5 scoreless innings a couple weeks ago in Clearwater versus Stanford. And again, she's starting to just become more familiar with this Florida State system, and it's showing off this year.
Boyle caught a piece of that one, fouled it back. Just 2 base runners to this point for South Dakota State. Good battle here. Boyle grounded out in her prior plate appearance in the 3rd. On the ground here to short. Force at second. And the double play at first. FSU says anything you can do, we can do too. South Dakota State's turned 2 twice, and the Noles have a double play of their own.
You're talking about some of the competition at shortstop. A good job from Annie Potter now there to come up, field that ball, flip over to Flaherty, and the Noles able to turn 2.
Just like that, Dumont is retired as well as Boyle. And here is Masterson, the 3rd baseman. For 1 today for Cheyenne. She grounded out to Beecham back in the 3rd. Masterson, who's been an all-Summit League type player over the years, particularly in 2022 when she hit nearly 260 on the year. 13 home runs that year as well. In the years since has not had the average that certainly she would have liked. 184 last year, 178 to this point this year. But so solid defensively, and that's a quality plate appearance for Cheyenne, who works the walk here with 2 outs in the top of the 6th.
That's the word for her. So good defensively out the hot corner. You've seen so many plays throughout these 2 games today. but showing off a little experience as well at that at bat. Able to draw a walk.
She'll give the top of her order a look. And that's all you can do. South Dakota State has limited the damage. Florida State scored 2 in the second, 2 in the third. And the Jackrabbits, to their credit, have held the Noles quiet since. So if you put the bat on the ball, and Jarecki, Barnard, Osmondson, certainly all capable of doing so, might just complicate the proceedings here just a little bit. That one hit a ton over into the hitting facility. This now kicking off the third run through the order for South Dakota State. 0 for 2 today, though, is Jarecki. A ground out in the first, the strikeout in the fourth. Another one foul. Jarecki, an all-conference player a season ago, lays off the 1-2.
Great block, Michaela.
Hit 377 last year, hitting 368 this year, so really stringing it together has Jarecki.
I love her at the top of this lineup.
A bona fide table setter, has been at the top of the lineup for the last 2 years, and with those numbers, you certainly can't argue it. Crowd wanted strike 3, they won't get it.
Yeah, that was really close. I think Eddingfield behind the plate thought that was a strike 2. Just above the belt buckle, but might have just been outside.
On the ground to short, Potter deep in the hole, play to first, won't get Jarecki.
That's also why they love Jarecki. Ton of speed at the top of the order, shows it off. Potter just entering the game. It's a good play from Potter. All the way almost out of the infield. Made the throw over, just can't beat the speed of Jarecki.
So, things are getting interesting here in the top of the 6th. Emma Osmondson, will be waiting in the wings. This is Caleb Barnard, who swung through the change there, 0-1. Three-time All-State in her home state of Arkansas. Barnard, a two-way player, has pitched already today for South Dakota State. Has also played a little bit at first base. If you go back to her senior season, through 108 1/3 innings with a 1.62 ERA, 182 strikeouts, and also just casually hit north of 500.
Casually, huh?
Casually. That'll play. And she certainly has, earning a spot in the starting lineup as a freshman in a team that brought back virtually everybody from an undefeated regular season run in the Summit League. But Barnard goes down. All of us, we tip our cap to everybody who's had a hand in bringing these games to you between South Dakota State and the 18th ranked Seminoles of Florida State. Devin Flaherty swings on the first pitch and grounds out to second. Ashton Danley remains in to hit. Waited on the change and fouled it away. How about Haley Herman?
Absolutely.
3 innings of work in relief. 1 hit allowed, 1 walk allowed. That's it.
In both games. You're Christina McSweeney, that's something that you love to see out of your freshman.
Yeah, went 1 1/3 in game 1 with only 1 hit allowed.
Listen, only 3 appearances coming into today.
Danley out to left field, at the wall. It'll skip there, And the young lady who started in the circle will wind up at second base.
Well, it's pretty nice. Not only can you go 5 scoreless innings, you can launch one into the gap in left field. Knock yourself a double. How about this from Danley? Check it out, showing some of the power. Loading into the gap just over the head of Culver. Standing up, oh, Knowles in the dugout loving it.
Kennedy Harp stepping in. Harp checking in to Kaylee Mudge's slide in the order as the order turns over once again for Florida State. Mudge, for her part, a walk on a full count in the second and a double in the first. That to go along with an RBI single and a walk in the earlier game today. So a solid day for Kaylee Mudge, who continues to work her way back, now starting, now back at the top of the order. And that is certainly somebody that you put a check, you highlight that name whenever you see her in the lineup for the Noles. Just a great character and an all-around great softball player here at FSU. Harp to short. Bobbled by Carrillo, and Harp is safe at first.
We were talking before about some of the defensive performances from South Dakota State today. But Florida State and Kennedy Harp just hitting with so much juice, and that's coming at Carrillo so fast in the infield. Trying to able to stay in front of it, but Harp's got wheels down the line.
And so here's Jason E. Beecham, and to put her numbers into perspective, amongst all freshmen in the NCAA, coming into today, her batting average was actually just 2 points shy of where it is now after a couple of games work at 479. So she came into today at 477, and that's third best amongst all freshmen in the entire NCAA. Wow. So, I mean, you just sort of look at what she's done, and here's the list. Sana Thompson at UNC, the middle infielder. Morgan Sharp at Western Kentucky, batting 500. There's Beecham at 477. Kennedy drafted at Eastern Kentucky. And then, of course, you can't have a top 5 list in terms of batting without somebody from Oklahoma being on it. And so Pickering rounds out the top 5. Tip the cap to Sela Morgan, who at Niagara also would have belonged on that list, but she's only played in 5 games. Everybody else has played in at least 15, and a lot of them nearly 20. Beecham does her part. That'll score Danley. Freshman plating freshman, and that batting average somehow will continue to climb.
Well, take it up just a little bit more for Beecham. I mean, it's crazy. You saw where she ranks amongst freshmen. I mean, she's still top 20 in the entire country in batting average. It's pretty incredible what she's been able to do, so consistent. And it all goes back to when you watch her at the plate and you watch her take these swings, just so even keeled. Does not even look like a freshman. Acts like she's been doing this for a long time.
The RBI single for Jason E. Beecham. And Dumont, another nice play in the backstop. As Kaylee Harding steps in once again. And Florida State perhaps has the opportunity here with 2 runners aboard and Harding at the plate and leading by 5 already to perhaps call game in the 6th. And if Harding doesn't do it, Edenfield will step in and take a chance. All in all, run rule or not, a really solid showing for the Noles, who 5 runs, 5 singles, 3 doubles, 1 home run in this one. That's a nice changeup by the freshman. It's going to be ball 3, though.
Done everything, a little bit of everything, and it was something we were talking about. You go into the first game, into that 5th inning when they scored 8 runs. I mean, a home run, single, double, it's just what Florida State and this offense does. They can beat you in so many different ways.
Elevated out to right field, and that is dropped. FSU will tack on one. Harp will score, and Harding is safe at second.
Yeah, and that's just tough out in right field for Osmondson. And Jackrabbits have been good defensively, just trying to play the sun and feel out where that wall is. Both at the same time. Just took her eye off for a second and already moves to second. Another run scored for the Noles.
Errors starting to pile up here for South Dakota State. None in the first game, now 2 in this inning, 3 for this game as a whole. I think all in all, they've done some good things here today, and there will be some positives for sure that they can take back to Brookings, albeit after they make a trip to Lexington, Kentucky first. Here's Edenfield.
Again, Sean, for South Dakota State, we haven't seen their ace today. What she's able to do out there in the circle. So credit a lot of the pitchers that have come out and gone for some extra innings, and Herman getting 2 appearances already on the day.
Yeah, Herman's going to be, I think, the highlight for South Dakota State if she can work her way through here this 6th. In general, she's done a really nice job in relief. 4 1/3, just the 1 earned run. Edenfield trying to tack onto that, though, but not getting much to swing at. 3 balls, no strikes to the catcher. And that's another walk. First base on balls in this game for Michaela Edenfield. And that'll bring up Issa Torres. Reinserted back into the lineup after being pinch run for. I mentioned that she now has hits in 18 of 22 games. She now has 8 multiple hit games. And if she records a base hit of any kind here, it would go to 9. She started off her career with a 9-game hitting streak. And here's the thing, she puts a lot of balls in play. Just 4 walks, 4 strikeouts for Torres.
That just goes back for both her and Beecham. Just such mature and veteran approaches at the plate. And they're both freshmen.
Nowhere to put the freshman shortstop. 2-1 the count. Came into today with 23 hits. That was 3rd best of anybody on the team. Has tacked on 3 today alone, as the bases are full of Seminoles, Beecham, Harding, and Edenfield at 3rd, 2nd, and 1st respectively. 3 balls and a strike to the shortstop. Torres also came into today with 15 RBI on the year. 7 of them were driven in last weekend. Has already tacked on a couple here today. That one's foul. Ground ball here to second. Play is to first. Beecham will score. FSU's got a couple in scoring position for Amaya Ross.
Well, I'll tell you this much, Sean. For the day that Amaya Ross has had, I don't think it would end any better for the Seminoles if it is Amaya Ross to end it.
2 walks and a 2-run home run for Amaya Ross today in this game. I keep saying today as if they've only played 1 game.
They played 2.
And in the earlier game, a fielder's choice, a fly out, a hit by pitch, and this thing called a grand slam. So she's driven it. A breakout year for a player that, if you ask anybody around this program, wholly deserves it. And you mentioned it, Jack. She's got the chance to call game herself. FSU pushing across 3 runs here in the 6th after being held scoreless the prior 2 innings. Totally different kind of game here than game 1 was. FSU jumped on the board first in that one. South Dakota State reeled them in, took the lead. FSU exploded and held on. This has been all Noles all game long. Building a lead, building it further, and now really stepping it out here in the 6th, adding some valuable insurance, and perhaps given the chance to drop the mic and drop the hammer right here. Three and 1. Ross walks for the 3rd time in this game.
It's close from Herman. She almost might have had Ross just upstairs outside the zone.
And that brings up Hallie Waycaser with the bases loaded once again. It's Harding stationed at 3rd. Maddie Fry has come in to pinch run for Michaela Edenfield at 2nd. And Amaya Ross, who just walked, is stationed at 1st. One and 1. A line out, a double play, and a double for Waycaser in this one, 1 for 3. Turn that one down the line. That'll get off the glove of Masterson, and Florida State calls game here in the 6th. After a back and forth